This is forecaster Dante B. Brown Ward from the Weather Van Storm Prediction Center. Right now, I'm just going to go over a few winter highlights from the AccuWeather.com website, and I'm going to compare it with Craig Brennan's winter forecast and then mine. And I posted this early in the week about how there's just this amazing come together with everybody with one winter forecast. That's just amazing. I haven't seen that for a couple years now, or a few years now when it comes to winter forecast. Now, the winter out. This is what AccuWeather came out with a couple days ago. Um, the worst of the winter, worst of the cold and snow, what the snow would be and what it wouldn't be, and if the graphics would stop freezing up, then it wouldn't be a problem. Um, okay, sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties. The worst of the winter should be in areas of the areas in the Midwest around Chicago, Minneapolis, and the areas of Detroit. These are areas that really didn't have the worst winter. Chicago had a pretty bad winter last year. It shouldn't be as much snow as last year, but it still should be above average. Some cold shots to hit off into areas in Nevada and Oklahoma. Mild and dry. They're saying mild and dry as you head off into areas of the Pacific Southwest. Snows here, but that's not all that unusual. You should expect your typical winter out there. Frequent and winter storms in the Pacific Northwest, some rain in the Pacific Southwest. In the areas of California, expect some rain. More ice than snow if you head on areas of southeastern areas of Oklahoma into Arkansas, into Tennessee, into Kentucky, and then stormy and cold as you head off into the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and then little if any frozen precip and milder in the southeast this year. I don't necessarily agree with that to a great degree. To some degree I do. Now, this is what they expect this La Nina's jet stream to be, and this is why I bring this up, because the cold, as long as that means there's a cold dome of high pressure over here, there'll probably be a cold dome of high pressure with northwesterly winds. During La Nina years usually get cold here anyway, but if the storm track is like this, storms will come down to the south, which would give areas up here snow. And then there's a chance that they redevelop, and then there's also a chance that they just skirt off the coast and just leave that area alone. But it's going to be a La Nina pattern, probably a slight to moderate La Nina. So we're going to be in a pattern with a La Nina possibly later on, but we're going to have to look at the AO, the NAO, and the PNA. Those are going to be determining factors so far this winter. But this is what AccuWeather.com is saying: ice over snow in areas of Kentucky and northern Tennessee, and also storm. But then they differentiate from stormy and cold, mild with mild spells. Now that also can mean it can be stormy and cold. That doesn't also mean it's going to be snowy. The cold air during a lot of La Nina years will come into place, but then it'll be too cold for snow by the time the cold air moves out. By the time moisture starts hitting the way the cold air ends up moving out, there's nothing that happens. And this usually ends up as rain or rain, snow to rain, and then back to snow, that type of messy mixed situation. So I don't expect that, but I do expect maybe a few more mixed situations. This ice over snow area is where you might have to deal with a lot more of that. You're going to have some above average snowfall. If you're in this area right here, I expect above average snowfall. AccuWeather.com expects slightly above average snowfall in that area as well. Snow, some ice and snow down to the south, just not as much as in here, and probably not as much as in there. Probably. The brunt of the snow will be in the interior northeast, and the heavy lake effect snows will be a huge issue this year as well, according to AccuWeather.com. But a brutal winter with cold and snow could be anywhere in the Midwest and the interior northeast. Now, this is the Vernon Weather Center's winter forecast, Craig Vernon. Craig Vernon has posted this winter forecast on weather.com. This is his. He predicts often cold and snow, and then often cold and snow with areas include if you're in that area. I'm just circling all pretty much cold and snowy this winter. If you're in this area, probably more ice than snow. In this area right here, and then right here, that's one little frozen preset, kind of like AccuWeather.com. So that's practically what everything is. Uh, Mild, pretty mild down here. I'm in agreement with that. Little rain, more rain than average, and over there, and then right there, some snow. So that's how his forecast is. I agree with it for the most part. Here's my general was my forecast, and you can see they all three of them seem to work along with each other. Down here, have around average when you're the wild card area for me, because it's still tough right now to figure out what type of weather pattern that area will be in, because that's where things can change real quick. Right down there is where things can seem to change real quick. If the NAO is not negative, that could possibly screw up whatever forecast I put down there. And then if it is negative, it could screw up the forecast that I put down there. And also, you have to look at other factors, such as the weather pattern. The weather pattern has not been too favorable right now, and I'm going to post about that maybe tomorrow, about the weather pattern that we're in and why I think that's more conducive for a snowier winter around D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York City, and Boston. Areas like that, I think you'll in for a snowier winter than average, and I'm going to tell you why in tomorrow's post. But it's cold, snow, and ice as yet up into the Mid-Atlantic and in the Midwest. I'm sorry, in the areas of the Midwest and farther to interior northeast, winter battle zone if you're in the area in this pink. This average and wildcard area is probably leaning more to around the average to winter for you guys. I've been battling, but right now things seem to be leaning to more of an average winter for you guys. Milder and drier than average in the south, milder than average precip in the west. I'm expecting for the most part. Now here's my snowfall outlook. I'm just releasing this today. I expect 10 to 15 inches above average. If you're anywhere in this shade, the darkest shade of blue, which is up in the areas of pretty much areas wherever I said cold and snow right in here on the previous post, you most likely you are in that area for much above average snowfall. I think about 10 to 15 inches above average, at least 10 to 15 inches above average will probably be the case for you guys up there. And then for areas in this lighter shade of blue, anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of snow is above average when it comes to snow is possible. I'm thinking, at least that's how I'm thinking right now. So maybe not as much snow as we want. Areas in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic have been spoiled the past couple of years, but still above average is above average. 5 to 10 inches above average is what I'm expecting when it comes to snow. About average through areas of South Carolina and southern North Carolina as you head into Oklahoma and Nevada, Colorado, Utah, Colorado, and then as you head into areas like Nevada and central California. So the southern tier of the United States, southern Georgia, and areas of Texas expect below average snowfall for right now. It all depends on that weather pattern, but right now the weather pattern is more like digging a trough into the east. And I'm going to give it, I can't help myself. I'm going to give you a little peek of what I've been watching. We've had a couple of storm systems, and I didn't post this earlier because I didn't know if this was one or it's going to be a pattern of one or two. You've had storm systems develop along stationary fronts right along the coast, and they've come right along the coast. A couple of them have gone out to sea, as would be expected, but a couple of them have come straight up the coast. We have had a couple of cutoff lows, and that's cut in the colder air. And during cutoff lows, they provide their own cold air. And that can end up being a pretty good snow event. We could have had 3 to 5 inches of snow around Washington, D.C. and areas of Pennsylvania last week when we had this cutoff low to spin with this cold air in there. The temperature is about 10 to 15 degrees below average. So that's something that would have to keep an eye on as we head into the winter. So that's my snowfall forecast. This is what the few things that I pointed out, and I expect a colder for the northern half of the nation for the most part. Expect a colder and snowier than average winter coming up this year. This is forecaster Dante Rayburn Royal, and I will have another post for you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.